Welcome back, everyone. This has been an interesting process. I'm sorry for the stops and starts of the way I'm managing to do this lesson, but I figure that eventually you'll have a complete thing to put together and to have a complete lesson. Eventually you will have that. I'm trying to work on it for you as best I can in intervals in between other projects. But it makes it that in itself makes it very interesting, and should let you know that you can do that. You can stop and start on a piece as long as you spend a little bit of time trying to renegotiate the feeling of it. What I've done since our last session was I told you that I was going to go ahead and I was going to do some nude oil drawing on the painting, trying to uh, make sure that just the basic stuff is becoming more and more accurate. Um, in the meantime, I've had a number of questions, emails regarding my painting process, and people seem to be, I believe, concerned with things which are important to them, but aren't necessarily something that we would concentrate in the manner in which they might think it should happen. Uh, what I'm trying to show you is that we will achieve the end results that everyone is looking for, but not necessarily in the way you think it might be done. This is again going back to the idea that in this particular lesson, I have a particular process, and my paintings in the end, they look very soft, they look very smooth. Um, and people expect me to do that, to attain that by blending and softening all the colors. Well, as you will see in this painting here, that's not how it is. That's not how I do it. That's not how I achieve that end result. There are painters who, of course, do that, and there's certainly nothing wrong with it. It doesn't make any difference how you paint. There's any number of ways of approaching it. What I'm showing you is how I approach it. And I hope that in the process of what we're doing here, that you will more than anything else learn that you don't have to be afraid of this medium. You don't have to be afraid of painting in oils and painting something very complicated and sophisticated like a portrait. There's no room for error in portraiture. So this is why one of the reasons I'm doing this self-portrait, because it's a good example of all kinds of different things. Um, Now, one of the things which I have done here is when we began the portrait, I had my mirror set up about 4 feet from me, and which was a good viewing distance to give me the general idea if I'm not wearing my glasses. That's a key thing there, if I'm not wearing my glasses. Um, but and I can see all the basic stuff, but I can't see really the detail that I want to exhibit to you. I want to show you, unless I have it a bit closer. Of course, I could do that if I wore my glasses, but putting the glasses on a portrait like this introduces an element which is too time-consuming and I think too complicated for this particular lesson. So I've decided to not wear my glasses, which means that in order for me to see clear enough for me to be able to translate it properly on this lesson, I took another mirror And I brought it in very close to me. I set it up right here on my easel. It's not more than a foot away from me. Jeannie will show you here in a minute what that looks like. This it gives me an idea of it allows me to see everything I want to see, you know. And with my particular kind of art, I enjoy, and I think a lot of you enjoy, the idea of really being able to see stuff and then translate it onto a canvas. You know, that's sort of the point of it right now. So, what I did when I changed the mirror, it sort of changed my perception of how I'm looking at this little self-portrait. Things become more in focus. Colors are a little bit clear. You can see how some of the details in my face alter or create the blends of colors that you would see from a distance. You can see them more effectively up close. So I have moved up close, and I've continued drawing on the painting, trying to get it accurate. What I've done is I've gone through the drawing process using the palette, which we have pretty much generally used so far. It's become a little bit more complicated. I'll go into that in a minute. But I've done sort of one half of my face, getting it to a point where I'm feeling comfortable that this is finally getting to be pretty accurate. And then I've left the other side of the face for me to paint for you, to show you exactly how we're going through that step of the process. And you'll see that from the very beginning that the painting is becoming more and more finished looking, although it's not really close to finished, but it's becoming more and more finished just through this repetitive drawing process, you know. And this is eventually you will see in the end here. This is how I create this very realistic and a lot of people refer to it as a smooth finish. I don't do it at all with blenders. I do it with a repetitive overlaying of color through this drawing process, and you'll see that. And I've made lots of little changes and mistakes and things which looked okay at the moment, but then I realized in relationship to something else that it was not quite right. So I was able, because I'm still working in basically a turpentine, not much medium. I'm able to eliminate it. I'm able to go over it and change it, and then that's part of the thing I want you to understand. You can change things.